Hello, I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough, and we're back at it again in the weird world of tie-in media. Weird tie-ins have always been a thing with my videos because I'm very fascinated by them, especially when the media hype and fanfare is met with less than stellar results, whether it's financial or just in reputation. A lot of media exists just to promote other things. That's obviously nothing new. But the weirder ones that exist usually fade away into irrelevancy or rise into infamy and become subjects of discussion long after they were a thing. Last October, I looked at some examples of odd toy and action figure tie-ins for various movie titles, like the '93 Mario movie, Space Jam, and the Star Wars prequels. And if you've been watching this channel for a very long time, you might remember one of my first ever crossover reviews was with my fellow reviewer Trenchman, as we talked about the two live-action Inspector Gadget movies. Back in the day, we did two crossover reviews on these movies. Well, the second one was more of a vlog video with some interjected reviewing here and there, but we definitely reviewed the first one. And while it's far from a great movie or anything, we actually came away liking it. Yeah, I know it's an unpopular opinion, but nonetheless, this is another example of a movie that had some tie-in and spin-off media of its own, despite its bad reception. It got a sequel, home video releases, a soundtrack loaded with pop songs like you'd expect, tie-ins with all the product placements that were scattered all throughout the damn movie, and of course, today's subject, the Inspector Gadget action figure from McDonald's. The big gimmick of this figure was that you had to collect all the parts and assemble the toy into one big figure. So this way, kids could pester their parents to go buy them some McDonald's, and they could eventually get all the pieces in the process. Like some kind of Matthew Broderick Inspector Gadget transformer, if you will. It also makes sense that McDonald's would do it. After all, they were one of the biggest product placements in both the live-action movies. Say what you will about the movies, let's see how the action figure fares up. So here's the Inspector Gadget McDonald's 1999 action figure. Obviously you could tell by its face. It looks enough like Matthew Broderick, but it doesn't look 100% like him. I guess it's how some people felt when the movie came out. They said Matthew Broderick doesn't even look like Inspector Gadget to even do the movie, but whatever. He looks like, honestly, he looks like a weird fusion of Matthew Broderick and French Stewart, which is appropriate because he was in the second movie. Couldn't even get Matthew Broderick for the second movie. And you'll notice the little hat helicopter. Right away, you probably see this, but the hat is massive. It has a little motorized thing in the center, so that's why it's so big. But yeah, you can spin it around like that. And so his head is supposed to be able to go in and out. Kind of looks like a Matthew Broderick Rock'em Sock'em Robot. It goes, yeah, that's pretty much all it does. It just goes up and down. And you got his one arm, which is an extender, so you can be able to reach out and grab stuff. And then there's this little button right here, so it clamps down. I'm actually surprised there's like full articulation in the arm like that, but that's actually quite impressive. And I like the little G Inspector Gadget armband thing right here. That's a nice little touch as a way to kind of connect it all together. And then you got this arm, which is supposed to be like a laser. It's supposed to be some kind of like weapon that was in the movie. I don't want to tamper with this thing too much because once it comes apart, then it's just going to be a mess to put it back together. And you'll notice there's a little seam right here for the chest. That's because like that's what keeps it in place. So yeah, I'm assuming the chest was like a whole piece in itself. And you've got this, which is supposed to split open because the legs also have their own functions. They can extend. Don't see how that's as useful as, say, the arms, but yeah, I mean, they did think of everything. That was a key part of the movie, was the extender legs. Just like with the fingers, the arms can go back and forth. They have actually decent joint physics for this toy, so I like that. One minor stipulation is that the arms don't go sideways, like they don't go this way, but that's perfectly fine because it wasn't built for that, and I can understand that. As for the craftsmanship, I mean, despite the likeness not being 100% Matthew Broderick, I think that it's fine for what it is. The craftsmanship, like, I do like the little details, like the wrinkles in the jacket, and the actual, like, jacket itself is very similar to the way it looked in the show, even down to the blue tie and the button shirt. It's not the exact same shade of gray, but it's more like a beige, but that's a nitpick. This is pretty much how it looked in the movie. One minor complaint is that the hat doesn't really fit on all that well, but I mean, once you get it on, you just have to kind of like leave it there and don't try to mess around with it too much, because if you do, then it's just gonna, just like the rest of the thing, it's just gonna fall apart easily. So you gotta be very careful with it. You gotta be careful not to break it once you get it assembled. There's also this bonus accessory, which was supposed to be like a clock belt.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have the correct time?
Why, yes, then I do. Did somebody say McDonald?
I can't imagine what it was like to assemble this, because I got it pre-assembled, so it's fine. It's just one of the many weird oddities of movie tie-in figures that were made for movies that people would go on to hate. Because when that movie came out, it was railed upon by critics, and it seems like only a very few people actually liked it. Kind of reminds me in a lot of ways of the Mario action figures for the 1993 Mario movie. These were figures made to tie in with a movie that ultimately went on to be a failure when it came out. I mean, it developed a cult audience later, but at the time, that Mario movie was a massive disappointment. It was only in theaters for a couple of weeks before Jurassic Park came and blew it out. And it's a kind of similar thing here. The Inspector Gadget movie had all this hype because it was a Disney movie. You know, when you have Disney backing, it's going to get a lot of promotion. And it was just one of those late 90s live-action Disney movies that just did not work to a lot of people. So I find it interesting that something like this exists, because, I mean, it was a tie-in figure that you had to collect. You had to mass assemble it. You had to go to the effort to put it all together, get all the parts. Like a lot of the other weird tie-in media that I cover, I think I'm more fascinated by the fact that it exists. And as it is, it's very well put together, like once it actually is put together, and there was lots of effort put into it. And in terms of marketing, it is a good idea to try and have all the pieces come together like it's some kind of transformer. But at the same time, it was made for the Matthew Broderick Inspector Gadget movie, so there is that, like, all that effort went into this. That's kind of where I stand on it. It is good. It's not bad. It's about on par with the Mario movie figures I talked about, or even the Talking Michael action figure. It really depends on if you're willing to collect figures for movies that you either remember fondly or don't remember fondly. And as a person who generally does kind of like the Inspector Gadget movie, I think it's fine for what it is. So I can't help but wonder what Trenchman would think of this toy, since he does toy reviews and stuff like that, and we reviewed the movie together, so I wonder what he thinks of this. If he even had some of the pieces, or if he tried collecting them all. I wonder. Well, tune in next time where we're going to be doing a double feature pop song review. But until then, I'm the Media Whiz, because one art form wasn't enough.
Inspector Gadget, and I enjoy building brown bricks in Minecraft.